Tawheed or Sufism by Shaykh Muhammad Sayed Adly is a book that I have read every year since I've got it. And the first year I got it, I don't know whether it was 2003 or 2004, something like that. It might have even been 2005, I don't know. But Sufism isn't exactly the same thing as Islam. It has an Islamic influence, and that's why we have this phrase here. Tawheed, as in the oneness of God, and Tawheed, as in the oneness of leadership. When we say we accept Muhammad as that leader of this international age, what has been revealed to him and what has been inspired to him by God is what the Muslim is supposed to be following, and supposed to be checking everything through that, regardless of the spiritual leader. A Sufi might do something like unquestionably follow their sheikh, unquestionably follow the tradition, not thinking for a second, are they doing the bid'ah of changing the sinful innovation of changing the conditions of the faith, making the required less than required, making the less than required required, making the forbidden lawful and the lawful forbidden. Are they doing those things? We see a lot of people that are Sufis giving up pillars of this that would legally take them out of Islam if they no longer consider the orisons, the ritual prayers, however you want to say, the obliged 5 times daily practice. Yeah, people can reach certain mystical states and stuff, but that doesn't refute what they should be doing or what they shouldn't be doing. But in that sense, a person may no longer be Muslim if they say that giving to the sheikh, giving to the shrine, that the dead don't accept your money. When you visit a grave, it's, why not make a pilgrimage to one of the obliged places of worship? The invoking of angels and saints and the dead ones, the spiritual realms are all, they're present and they overlap. Our psychic realms, they overlap. We don't have to worship anything other than God to have access, if that's what they're trying to do. Fear of the consequences, hope of the consequences are important too. Hate to believe or do the wrong thing. Hate that it should be in someone else, that we, enjoin good and forbid evil on them. Those are important things too. Love is not the full package. Good intentions won't get us quite as far as some people may think. Not quite mentioned here, but one thing I do on my channel is I respond to all sorts of faiths. I translate things in the language and culture, is a way to put it. I learn about these languages and cultures to be able to share ideas between me and people of other faiths. But does that mean that I practice their faith? That I'm following one group or another outside this? No. Now, Sufism coming from the people of the porch or wearing wool, where does this thing appear? I say it partially appears from the various men's and women's orders before Islam. It partially derives from after the initial generations were gone, we ended up with, oh, well, there's a very specific line of rulership, because see all these problems, there must have been a specifically ordained line of rulership. And then the Sufis took it further, and anybody, something miraculously seeming, this was something that they brought out as sort of a justification for that. It is possible to have spiritual experience, but it's not quite it. The creation is not God. God is not like unto the creation in anything. So again, that's where a lot of Sufis will differ. Now, can you say how much? No. Just, oh, you're a Sufi, you must not be Muslim? No, no. Probably at least half of the Sufis are Muslim. A good third of the Shias aren't Muslim because they worship other than God. But other than something like this, we're not supposed to say this limit. And we notice something weird or really good or something. That doesn't mean, oh, we must accept this spiritual authority. And even the point where people are worshiping at the, Islam, we don't have these big buildings over graves and stuff. Oh, you hear of them in the Muslim world, but this wasn't Islam that brought this about. Some stories, they could be true in a different sense. They could be some sort of psychic projection or something, but and when we translate things and express things according to our material perfection, our material culture, we should realize that the religion was perfected. And it's not for us to say, oh, we've got something new and something better. So anything new that's not part of the faith will be rejected. Any merely thinking for oneself is a going astray, and a going astray is the hellfire. That's a general rendition of what's included in a lot of sermons. And sometimes it's best to withhold from acting, because good intentions turn to stone. Isn't that the phrase? And the purpose of God's messengers is to not only give us principles, but to give us examples. Well, that's what a Nabi is an exemplar prophet. And I am rambling here, I guess. So, I mean, there's a lot more that can be said about this, but the great thing about this book is a lot of nothing seems so unique that it's like, oh, well, I've read this elsewhere. It's like, that's the point. That's the point, is that it's referring to basics of the faith that are being said again and again by different people. And if you get these points from a couple sentences, if you get these points from some other source, the Salaf Asali, Salaf Asali thing, the righteous predecessors. So the righteousness of previous generations, if I did not mention that, is something that's looked to. The people who knew Muhammad, the people who knew them, and the people who knew them. The Shia, it's through the people of the house, the close disciples, a line of that, and their interpretations is a third way of looking at things. But we're looking at the righteousness, how they directly attach, again, the Tawheed of leadership. What was that word? What's the phrase of that one? But